Welcome back, everyone, to the Pitch Pod. I'm your host, Jeff Stebbins. Join with me, as always, is my co-host, Joe Janner. Joe, how are you doing this evening?
Jeff, I'm well. As always, happy to be here. Really looking forward to getting back into the EPL, a featured match of the week between Liverpool and Arsenal. But I know you wanted to recognize another contest. Prior to that, there was, something mentioned of a hat trick somewhere.
Yeah, so we're definitely gonna talk about the EPL and the upcoming Liverpool v Arsenal game. How could we not? But there's a pretty big matchup. So Barcelona on the second leg just recently finished playing Real Madrid, and this is a game we've covered El Clasico a few times, but this game was pretty unique in the sense that Real Madrid dominated and won this game 4-0. And as Joe said, we had a unexpected hat trick from Benzema. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Joe, but wasn't Benzema the guy that was getting heavily criticized by the media after his last performance against Barcelona?
It was that match. The match that we covered in league play. It was Benzema. He really failed to really show up, and then here he is. That goes with the territory in the sense that in this type of game, it's a knockout round. Winner goes on, shows up, makes it happen. Those are the top strikers doing to get to score three in that one to see them into the final for Copa del Rey. Hats off to him for the hat trick. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hats off. Hats off. I'm glad that we on the Pitch Pod didn't write off Benzema. We kind of said maybe he was injured, maybe it was a bad game. Even Messi has bad games where you're like, was he out on the field? He didn't touch the ball. So I'm glad that we were given that balanced perspective that we aim to do here at the Pitch Pod. Because some of that stuff that came out right after his last match against Barcelona was pretty critical. Like, does he still have it? Question mark. Should we trade him? Question mark. So I'm glad that we didn't write him off, at least here on the pod.
No, we addressed the single performance. I don't think we were ready to have him retire, or I don't think it was his agent on the line looking at means a way to transfer him out or anything along those lines. If we were harsh or too critical, I think that we were expecting more and didn't maybe show up, but I don't think we played him off to be done. So there he
No,
is.
no. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about how that turned out for him, to kind of have that comeback match. And yeah, we knew he was a great striker. Just everyone has off days, off games, even the best of the best for sure. So yeah, that was a fun matchup, and it's hard to believe Barcelona was held to nil, but no goals out of Barcelona. So, but looking ahead, we're back in the EPL. We've been all over. We're back in the EPL. We got a classic matchup coming up. We have Liverpool v Arsenal. Arsenal's the number one team in the league right now. They're on top. Will they stay on top? Joe, what's going to happen?
Yeah, you have to look at this game as being exciting. I was even checking. I couldn't believe it when I saw the reverse fixture October 9th of the previous year in this campaign, in this season. It's almost going to be exactly 6 months since the last time these two have met in league play. Went back and looked. I saw that was a match. Arsenal won 3-2. Saka scored 2. Very well contested, exciting match there. But times have changed. This is different. Longer break, of course, with the World Cup, and quite a bit of different separation between these two clubs in this phase of the season, with a lot more probably pressure on Arsenal to do what they need to do to continue to win versus the Liverpool side that a lot of still critical. But you can check around. I think even Pep chimed in to suggest it's not just it's Liverpool. You still have to travel to Anfield. It's not going to be a walk in the park. I don't expect a Liverpool side where they stand, what they do, just to lay over for Arsenal, just to concede and give them the game to them. I think that Liverpool is going to play with much intensity, and I think that it's going to be a great match.
Yeah, that is interesting that Pep chimed in on it. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah. So with this matchup here, two super talented teams, I think we're going to see a lot of good play in the midfield, especially from Arsenal. I mean, Martinelli, Odegaard, um, Saka. If they do score, I think it's coming from one of those guys. Such a strong midfield that Arsenal has, which is, I think, why they're on top of the league right now. But the game is at Liverpool, so you got to factor that in. And last I checked, the predictions, the likelihood of winning, it's almost split down the middle, Joe. I mean, maybe a 3 percentage point difference, but it's pretty even right now, is what people are thinking, and that makes sense to me.
I think those are similar numbers that I looked at as well. I think they're all taking everything into consideration. I know both sides are looking at some potential injury issues to deal with. And we know that Saka was sick, but my understanding is what I've read and what I've seen is that he should be good to go. But again, that's still several days ahead of us where we're at the time of recording here to know where he's going to be able to get himself to a fit and well positioned to be able to play. Because as it's almost been written in ink to start, like I suggested from the last fixture, he scored the two. So you got to be figured he's hopefully going to play a big part in the performance of Arsenal in this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think Liverpool's got a few injuries as well, and some questionable returns for this match. So that is a good point as well. Yeah, and I think another thing to consider is both of these teams have been fairly turbulent, not just with their shots on goal and their scoring, but actually on winning. I guess Arsenal's had a string here and there where they're just a winning machine, but both teams have kind of had their turbulent times going up and down fairly recently, with all their games that they play. So, considering that makes this prediction even more difficult. So you have the injuries, where the game's playing, and then recent turbulence in their performance. So this is going to be a hard one for me to predict, Joe. But I don't know. I guess before we get to predictions, one last thing I would say is, if you're the Liverpool's manager and Arsenal's coming in and they're sitting on top of the league right now, what's your strategy? Obviously Arsenal is just loaded with talented players. Their midfield's dangerous. But what's your strategy with trying to deal with the number one team in the league coming into your house? How do you deal with that?
I think you, as Liverpool, really from the get go, want to take control of the game through possession. And I think that the more that you set the tempo and the rhythm of the game by controlling the ball and not providing opportunities for Arsenal to do what they do in possession and their means to have such a prowess in attack, if you will, I think it's then on Liverpool to really dominate and really from again the whistle from the first half on through, and it's going to be require two consistent performances in two halves as well. So it's whether it's be through training to position themselves to get to a means to have a better understanding of what they need to do to maintain that focus and the intensity, to be able to possess the ball, and when those chances do happen, they got to be converted if they're going to be victorious in this game. So I think again, namely, possess, be in charge, and have the level of intensity at home with the support of their fans to go ahead and perform and win this one.
Well, I think you said it right there, right? When it's time to convert, and then don't make those simple mistakes like we've seen out of some Coble, the goalkeeper, in one of the recent matches we reviewed. If Liverpool does that, doesn't make those silly mistakes, and when they do have their opportunities, they take advantage of it. It could be a good outcome for them, but I might be leaning in a different direction for my prediction. But Joe, why don't you go ahead on this one?
I think with all that being said, what I've kind of alluded to, I think most people see where I'm going with this in a sense. I do think that this is a match that Liverpool will win. And I know whether it's through convincing fashion or whether it's just, again, by limiting Arsenal's chances, by then being efficient and having possession and creating those chances scored. They have the capability to score 2 goals in this game, and I think they will. They'll score 2. One way or another, Arsenal gets their one. So I'm going to predict a result 2-1 Liverpool.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. That's a that'd be an exciting match. On Liverpool side, who do you see putting one away?
Nunez is starting. He's got a goal in him for sure. So I can see him scoring. I mean, he's a dominant threat. He's very much the type of striker, center forward that playing in that role, in that position that you'd want. Again, when he has the opportunity, he's got to make it happen. It started off; it's been rough to go for the season, but started to see, I think, more out of him and more of what was expected when he was brought into the Liverpool side. So I think he's for sure got a goal. After that, I mean, maybe it's through other means. I don't know exactly, but I think Nunez is good for a goal for this one.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna actually go not completely in the opposite direction. I do. I'm as far as the goals and the having the game be competitive. I agree. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't see that happening. So taking into account of everything, especially the home match, I have to say it's going to be a draw 1-1.
That's a fitting prediction as well. I initially thought they could possibly get it. Just look at the probability, just looking at the numbers. That it could have been a way that it could and possibly will go. So then maybe it's going to require that if the results go the way that I predict, it's going to require something special or something out of nowhere. Again, kind of still not clear in how I'm seeing where that second goal is going to come from, and it could be something spectacular or something controversial out of nowhere. All being said, again, I think we're both, and I think everybody's really excited for this upcoming match.
Yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun. Hopefully, everyone gets a chance to sit down, relax, and view it. I know Joe and myself at the Pitch Pod will definitely be doing that ourselves. But hopefully, you like what we're bringing. You like the content. If so, please take a moment to click like and subscribe. That's the best way to support us here at the Pitch Pod. We'd really appreciate it. And we hope everyone has fun watching this game. So, as always, keep pitching out there, everyone. Bye.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.